Listen to Philosophy Talk today at noon on KSJE 90.9 FM, Farmington.
COVID-19 cases are high and it's overwhelming our healthcare system. The caregivers at San Juan Regional Medical Center need your help.
Our resources are exhausted. We're very limited on what we have the capacity to do because we're being overwhelmed with the number of individuals that are requiring ICU care at this point.
So what can you do to help? Most importantly, ignore the rhetoric and get vaccinated.
Continue hand washing, continue to wear your mask and social distance.
Help us so we can help you.
11 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday morning, the 22nd day of the second month in the year 2022. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin, and thanks for tuning in this morning to KSJE 90.9 FM, of course, over the air in San Juan County, New Mexico, and also on our website, KSJE.com, streaming to every place else on the planet. And we are working hard to get back on the air in Durango at 103.3 FM, so don't give up on us, Durango, but tune in on the line if you are missing us, and we miss you. Welcome also to our viewers who are joining us on the video platforms that we are streaming to this morning, the KSJE Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Twitter account. We're glad that you have joined us this morning because coming up in the next few moments, you're going to get an update from Bloomfield Schools. Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell is my guest this morning, so stay tuned for our conversation, which begins in the next few moments right here on KSJE. And then, of course, later on this hour, I'll be checking in with Amber Francisco from the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter. She'll be joining me to talk about some of the pets available for adoption this week, including Stormy. That's the name of the dog on the screen right now, and we'll meet him and learn more about him coming up later on this hour on KSJE. Next hour, Mick Hess will take us roving with the arts. Mick is playing music from Chopin this morning, so we hope you'll stay tuned for that, beginning after the news at 9:06 right here on KSJE. And in addition to Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, you can also connect with us on our Instagram page as well. And if you're a podcast person, we invite you to subscribe to KSJE Podcasts for free wherever you listen to podcasts. So check us out and take us with you on your travels these days. Weather forecast, we do have a winter storm watch in effect later on tonight on into Wednesday because of the storm system that is moving into the area. A little bit of off and on rain and snow showers this morning already. We're expecting a partly sunny day today with a chance of off and on snow showers. The high today, 48 in Farmington. Frozen mix of weather overnight tonight with a low of 38 degrees. Then tomorrow again, partly sunny, but still a chance of more snow and snow showers. The high tomorrow, 43 on Wednesday, and then more chances for snow on Wednesday night with a low of 24 before things clear out for Thursday. And we have mostly sunny skies, but colder weather with a high of about 35 degrees. Well, let me turn to my guest who is joining me this morning, as I mentioned, Superintendent of Schools with the Bloomfield School District. Dr. Kim Mizell is my guest this morning. And Dr. Mizell, good morning. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining me this morning, and I know you have to watch the weather carefully because of your job as superintendent. I think Bloomfield had a snow day, maybe with the last storm that we had, and so that is an ongoing responsibility for you and others in the district, correct?
Yes, it's one that you always second guess yourself on. Any decision you make is never the right decision, it feels like, but yeah, we had a snow day last week, and I'm, looking at the weather, and I usually get a phone call around 5 o'clock in the morning saying the roads are really bad south of us and out towards Navajo Dam up that way. So we determine a lot of times whether to close due to the road conditions south and over on the towards the dam. So
right,
and the problem's not always the highway, but it's the road conditions to get to the bus stop. It's the concern. So a lot of things go into our decisions, but hopefully, we don't have to have another snow day, but if we do, we do.
Right. Well, and I understand, and I think a lot of folks maybe don't always think about the weather conditions throughout the entire Bloomfield School District, because anyone who's driven down 550 knows conditions can change pretty rapidly between leaving the city limits of Bloomfield and heading down into the Liebrook area, which is almost as far as the district stretches, correct?
Yes, we go all the way to the Liebrook section. So,
Right.
and, so there's a lot of things that can happen in between. So
Indeed.
lately it's been the icy roads. The roads have been coming, it's hot, warm during the day, and then it, like the snow, and then it gets wet, and then it freezes at night. So the ice is part of the problem.
Understood. Well, it is an important job, and I know you're looking at conditions for both your students and I guess your staff even to get into the buildings too, correct? Because they come in from all over too.
We just want everyone to be safe.
Very good. Well, let me ask you about the legislative session, which ended officially last week. Of course, it's now bills are heading to the governor's desk to sign or not, or maybe veto part of them. But one of the big accomplishments that's been touted is the raise in base pay for all levels of teachers, levels 1, 2, and 3. I know that's something that you and I have talked about in the past, but now that it's done, and I am assuming will be signed by the governor because it was one of her goals at the session, what does that mean for school districts like Bloomfield's?
Well, I think it's a great occasion for all the educators in the state of New Mexico, for sure, because the raises not only are for level increases of level 1 to 50, level 2 60, and level 3 70. It also means a 7% raise for all employees. And then there's a $15 an hour increase. That's a good increase for our hourly employees as well.
That's like a minimum, right? A base minimum for your folks, other hourly folks?
Right. And in Bloomfield, we've been trying to increase each year because we knew things were going to eventually change. And a lot of what's driving this is the crisis that we have in education and the shortage of teachers, and to make it more enticing for people to go into education. And we're hoping it works because we have like 1,200 vacancies throughout the state. So it's a challenging time for education.
Right, and I know we've talked about that in the past. And does this then make Bloomfield schools more competitive with maybe districts in our surrounding states? Certainly not more competitive in-state necessarily if they're all paying the same, but do you think you might be able to attract some folks from other states to Bloomfield schools?
We're hoping so, but we also had heard the other states were raising their salaries as well.
Oh,
because it's a national crisis. It's not just New Mexico, it's all over the nation.
Right, understood. But certainly, I guess, a step in the right direction, at least from what we're hearing from a lot of folks, who are wanting maybe to get into the educational field as well. And there have been a lot of other efforts to get folks in and certified and as teachers and things along that line. We've talked about the alternative licensure program here at San Juan College for folks who've maybe already got a bachelor's degree and been in a different career. But there's a lot of, I think, fast track efforts to get folks in and out and into the classroom as quickly as possible because of this ongoing shortage, correct?
Yes. There's a residency bill that went through is on her desk as well, that is for people that have other degrees. They can go into education immediately, make at least $32,000, and some of the alternative licensure programs you'll start at 50. Just because we need people that have those degrees, like if it's in science, math, anything that, if you have a general ed degree, you can become a teacher at this point. And then this residency program also provides an opportunity for those students that are seniors coming up this next year that are in an education program. They can go ahead and go directly into the schools. I believe it's at $32,000 and get everything paid for that last semester, even their students, the last school year, even their student teaching, and be in the classroom. They'll take their classes online for that last year. So it's a great opportunity for students that are just getting ready to graduate, actually. So, and we need them in the schools as soon as possible. Right.
What's the situation at Bloomfield schools these days? Do you still have some openings?
We do. We have openings in special education, and like our ancillary staff, speech language pathology, psychologists. They're just few and far between for education, for the educational field. They can make more money out in the public, in the business world, and so are in the hospitals, and so that
Sure.
poses a problem for us. And then in special education, those are always considered to be hard to fill positions, and they open up quite a bit. So we're looking at doing some retention of people if they're thinking about retiring, and they, we can give them a pay to stay kind of thing. If they stay for 3 more years, they could get a little stipend increase. And so we're looking at options for our district, and we're just trying to fill the positions that we do have. And always it's in the math, science, and it's in everything, elementary ed as well. We do have several long-term subs. We've worked hard to try to get highly qualified teachers in the schools, but sometimes it doesn't always work out. So we're doing the best we can under the circumstances.
Right. But as you've told me, you are not alone in this situation, right? I think almost every superintendent I speak with says the same thing. They have shortages. They have current openings in their districts, special education. I hear that all the time. Positions that are maybe harder to fill than some of the others. So you're not alone in this situation.
No, I think everybody's experiencing the same problem. So
Right.
we're just kind of shaking the bushes out there, trying to find people that will go into education.
I hear you. Understood. And there were I thought some bills too dealing with retirees from education about maybe trying to make it easier for them to come back into the classroom once they've retired, and a quicker turnaround perhaps for them. Is that something that got through and could help the situation?
It did go through. They used to have to stay out for an entire year before they could come back into education and receive another salary, basically, and also get their retirement. It's called double dipping. Well, the bill that went through is only requiring 90 days. So, for example, if someone decides to retire at the end of this year, they will be eligible to come back into the classroom by October 15th. So we might get some of those people to return.
Gotcha. And that wouldn't impact their retirement benefits?
No, they would get a salary plus retirement.
Right, but they couldn't get any more retirement benefits, I think, is at least how I understood it, and they'd still pay into the system a little bit from that new position coming back in.
Yeah,
right?
The retirement is set at the retirement date, so
Right.
and that's what they would receive, but then also they can receive a full salary. So when you think about it, a lot of times retirement for educators, you actually receive about half of what you made in salary towards a retirement for the rest of your life, basically, which a lot of times that's not enough to survive sometimes. So a lot of them do come back, and then medical insurance is usually a problem for some of us that when you decide to retire and you're older, the medical bills get more. You need to be eligible for both Medicaid and the retirement insurance. So, it just comes down to financial need of the individuals. So,
Right.
When they start looking at retiring, a lot of times they'll stay longer because they're concerned about all those things.
Sure, it does add up for sure. But this idea of having just to wait out 90 days is certainly a lot different than waiting out an entire year to come back and get back into the classroom. So hopefully that will help the situation as well. The other big news, I guess, from last week, Dr. Mizell, was the mask mandate going away in New Mexico, at least from the governor. But she left it up to local schools and school districts to decide what's best for their staff and their students. So what's the situation in Bloomfield?
We went with lifting it immediately. So we lifted the mandate immediately. If you still want to wear them, you're more than welcome to wear them, but we no longer require it.
An option then for students and staff.
Right.
Got you. And so as we hopefully move forward out of COVID-19, obviously you're still having to. Are you still testing your folks once in a while and still having to trace outbreaks and cases and things along that line? Those things are still continuing, are they not?
For now.
Right.
We're hearing that there's going to be another updated toolkit.
From the Public Education Department?
Yes.
Gotcha. Very, very good. Congratulations, I guess, are in order, too, for Bloomfield Bobcat wrestlers, right?
That's right. They went down and they were ready to wrestle, and we have 2 state champions, a first runner-up, and then several young men placed, and they took second in the men's wrestling. And we had some girls wrestle on Saturday, but I haven't heard the results for that. But yeah, we're really proud of them. They worked real hard. A lot of these young men, they've been wrestling since they're 3 years old. It's a huge family commitment, and taking them to a lot of competitions. One of our champions, I think he's now like 49-0, 49 wins and
Wow.
0 losses. And the other champion, he had similar record. He had a few losses. They travel off season to a lot of locations to go to different duels and competitions because they have to get that experience in different areas, and you want to go to a heavy competition so that you're prepared
Right.
when you do go to state. But our area is always tough. Second, Aztec took first, so Aztec's always a really strong wrestling school district, and so yeah, our young men did well for the county.
Very good. Well, congratulations to them. And, of course, and now things move on to the next round of spring sports, I suppose, right?
Right. Well, basketball's coming up.
Yeah.
And they're playing the district playoffs right now, and then we'll see who goes to stay down for that. And then we're already in preseason practice for baseball and track, so I can't imagine running. Spring sports, it's always too cold for me. I remember I played softball, and every year I'd throw my arm out because it was just so cold I wouldn't warm up enough. So, it's just it's always fun to watch the kids compete, and I enjoy athletics throughout the year.
Right. Well, I know you've been in the stands rooting on the Bobcats since you've been superintendent, of course, and so it's important. And we'll probably think back to these cooler days in April when it's hot and a little warm, getting a little warmer out there on the sidelines.
Right. I'm a fair weather spectator when it comes to spring sports. If it's windy and cold, I'm sorry, I'm going to not be there. I'll be in our baseball thing. They have a concession stand where it has the best seats in the house. So sometimes I go sit in there if it's too cold. But
You're a good volunteer over there.
Yeah, right. I'll help out if they need it.
There you go. Very good. My guest this morning is Bloomfield Schools Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell. We were getting an update on issues going on over in the Bloomfield schools. And Dr. Mizell, I know you've still got 2 cars that you'll be giving away at the end of the school year for students with pretty good GPAs, and so they are still in the thick of it, aren't they, as the school year kind of starts winding up here. We're in February, but of course it'll be, spring break is coming up, and then almost after that, there's not a lot of weeks left.
No, it goes by fast. I was talking to my husband. It seems like the older you get, time flies faster.
For sure. That's very true. But you've got 2 cars to give away, and so that's going to be continuing right this year, of course, thanks to some great local supporters of Bloomfield Schools.
Right. We actually raise the funds through our school district magazine, and then we also have a partnership where the funds are matched by Symes Ford.
Very good. Well, that's exciting, and hopefully, of course, it keeps your students engaged and wanting to excel and keep those GPAs up so they can qualify for the kind of drawing at the end of the year for a chance to win one of these 2 vehicles.
Yep, it's always exciting. This year we'll actually be able to have the assembly.
Nice.
Usually we have the music to The Price is Right because it's free.
There you go.
So we usually have a nice assembly, and we draw in the past, we've had a spinning wheel with the names and whatever name it fell on, or we had assigned numbers, so we draw the numbers. And it's always a neat event. We enjoy doing it.
Right, very, very much so. Well, very good. And I know, well, as we said, your students I think look forward to it. We talked about before about how some of the winners maybe had to learn how to drive once they were awarded a new to them car. So that sometimes happens too.
Right, because it's offered to freshmen through 12th grade, and a couple of times we've had kids win it that didn't have their driver's license yet. So they're very motivated to get them after they had a car. So, yeah, I still see some of them driving around town in the cars that they won. So,
right,
it's neat to see.
Very, very true. Well, looking ahead, Dr. Mizell, again, with the changes you mentioned with your assembly, any changes to things like graduation and things like that? Is that something that folks are talking about, planning more of an in-person, hopefully, gathering for families this year?
Yes, last year we actually had to limit the number of people that could attend graduation. This year we're hoping to have our traditional graduation, which is an outdoor event, and it's absolutely beautiful on the football field, and it's a great day for graduation most of the time. Sometimes the weather doesn't always work out, but overall we've been doing well with the weather, and so we're excited to have a wonderful graduation ceremony this year.
Very good. Well, hopefully that will be great for a lot of the families that have missed that. And your high school seniors, of course, will be able to attend a more traditional graduation ceremony. So that'll be a wonderful change for the folks as well. We just have a couple minutes remaining this morning. Dr. Mizell, any final thoughts from the legislature or anything else that's going on with the district these days?
No, just get out and watch the kids compete. It's always fun to watch athletics and support the students. I believe we probably have cheerleading competition coming up. We usually do fairly well in that, and so just want to cheer them on. And just keep moving forward with making the good decisions out there for your families and the students. Right now, we're looking at the mid-year data, and I think we have some work to do to catch the students up, but I think that things are looking okay for the students, and we're proud of the teachers and administrators who have really committed to supporting the accelerated learning in our schools to make up for lost time the last 2 years. So I just can't say enough about the educators and the champions through everything that we've gone through.
Right. Well, that's good to hear. And it sounds like the data is kind of backing up what you hoped would happen, right, as kids got back into the classroom? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a few grade levels that, are struggling, which would be second and third grade right now, because we did not have one-to-one computers, so we just didn't have the funds to do that when everything hit. And so those kiddos, instruction was hit or miss for the last 2 years. And so we're working double time to try to get them caught up. But the data wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I know that we can probably do it. It's going to take a little more time, but we will definitely buckle down and get as much done as we can this year and provide some summer school opportunity as well.
Very, very good. And certainly the computer situation has changed, has it not, for those students?
Yes, with the federal dollars, we were able to do one-to-one even with preschool. So wow. We do have computers with all students.
Very good. Well, that's great. And I'm just looking at the Bloomfield School District's Facebook page. And again, thanks to Turkey Boy Photography, we can give a shout out to Aiden Benavidez and also to Matthias de Herrera from Bloomfield, your championship wrestlers, right?
Yes. They are quite the champions. One was a senior, and then Adon is a junior this year. So this is his second time to win the state championship, so he might be a 3-time state champion next year.
Okay. Well, it sounds like he is a force to be reckoned with. So Go Bobcats.
Yes, he's pretty impressive.
Indeed.
I was down there watching him. I do enjoy that sport.
Well, that's
and
indoors. I understand why you were
Right.
enjoying it indoors.
But it's a long day. It's a long day, and I'm so impressed with what they do. I mean, some of them have, if they go into the consolation bracket, they have back-to-back wrestling pretty much all day. It didn't end until like 8 o'clock at night, and they started at 9.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
those boys, I think they probably feel like they've been through a war after they finish, but they are pretty amazing the way they compete.
Well, it's great to see, and again, congrats to both of them and to the rest of the Bobcats who are competing. And thanks to you, of course, as always, for your time this morning, Dr. Mizell. I always appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again in about a month.
Thank you. You have a good day today.
All right, you too. Thank you very much. That is
All right.
Bloomfield Schools, Dr. Kim Mizell, the superintendent from Bloomfield Schools, my guest this morning here on KSJE Farmington. KSJE and San Juan College present the Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week.
Hello, my name is Emin Chi from the Student Achievement Center. We are bringing you week 6 of Coaching Tips of the Week. Learning new information. Students learn new ideas by relating them to what they already know and then transferring them into their long-term memory. Meaningful practice with content can both cement student learning and making it easier for students to remember content in the future, enabling them to tackle increasingly complex challenges. The more knowledge that students have about a specific problem, the easier it will be for them to recognize the important aspects of the problem and how to solve it.
The Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week, presented by KSJE and the Student Achievement Center at San Juan College.
How technology is speeding